Fight Class 3. A manhwa that's often overlooked in the space of fighting manhwa in general, whether it's How to Fight, Reality Quest, or Study Group that's always overshadowing it. But what does this one manhwa made by one artist have over all these other fighting manhwas? Is it the absolute baddie? Or is it the amazing art that comes from this manhwa that we see every time we flip a page or scroll? Before we get to the main part of this video where I describe to you why this is the best fighting manhwa, I want to talk about the world and the plot that this takes place in. So this takes place in a world where Korea has the #1 martial artists in the whole entire world, and their government is encouraging every high school to put a class where people learn how to fight, and to find these special athletes and nurture their talents even further so they can stay #1. But this takes place in the most famous of those high schools called Nam-il High School. Then we have our boy Yoon Jin Tae. I know I said it wrong. I know I said the past few names wrong. So you're just going to have to fight me in the comments. I'm ready and rearing to go to fight some people. But our boy is a weak, small man that has to fight straight up Baki characters. Like, I'm not even lying. Look at his dad. Yeah, that's right. He's on a revenge path to fight a straight up Baki character looking like that. But of course, we have plot armor. And his plot armor is he gets saved by an absolute baddie who teaches him Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And you know what? She can teach me some of that. I mean, Anyway, she does see a lot of potential in him and ends up training him to go on to fight all these other students to then become strong enough to fight Big Papa. I know, wrong choice of words, but is what it is. If you've enjoyed the video so far, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by December, so help a boy out. And now, on to the next part of this video. So what makes this fighting manhwa stand out or differ from other fighting manhwa and fighting manga in general? Is it the art that carries the story? Or is it the absolute baddies that have been placed around the story to keep us watching and our eyes glued to the screen? Or is it the absolutely amazing fight choreography that we get to see throughout the whole entire manhwa? All of which could separate them from other manhwa, making them amazing contenders in this discussion of why this manhwa is so great. In fact, personally, my favorite part of this manhwa was the fight choreography. Because after a punch was thrown in this manhwa, you could feel the reaction from the character and how much it affected them throughout the fight that went on. Like the pure emotion that was felt through after one of these punches landing so cleanly that you were like, wow, that you got knocked the fuck out, man! Definitely put that guy out for life. But no, our faceless author had other plans for this manhwa and what made it so different from other fighting manhwa in general. Such as the transformation of our boy Yoon Jin Tae. That's right, our boy gets a glow up, and by no means do I mean a small glow up. Look at the before and after this man gets his glow up. And I mean it's a big glow up. Like the before and after this is what every person who goes to the gym for the first time thinks they're going to look like just by going for a few months. At least that's what I wished I looked like after going for a few months. And by no means is this the first time a manhwa character has trained really hard and got a huge glow up. Like, look at How to Fight, Reality Quest, or even our boy Sung Jin Woo. Like, this is not the first time. But why he gets this sudden transformation and changes to look like this is what makes this manhwa so special. Some people call it the descent. Others call it the frenzy. Some call it the awakening. I call it the spiral into insanity, where this manhwa turns from a typical fighting manhwa into a survival horror manhwa. The downward spiral of the main character and the overall change of this manhwa starts, in my opinion, at chapters 75 to 76, where we just get a slow decline of the main character's mental health. He stops being that nice guy who's always outgoing and who's always kind and trying to help people. He turns into a vicious person who just likes to beat the shit out of everybody else. And I'll be for real, he beats them bad. He even hits some people with the most powerful move in all of fiction: pocket sand. But where I think the main character finally snaps and loses his last bit of sanity is what I like to call the Cave of Hell, where they run into an absolute monster in that cave who looks like he's straight from Berserk. And let me say, this fight scene between the monster and our two characters has to be one of the best fights in this manhwa. It shows the desperation they have to defeat this thing, and the pure fear that you see on our main baddie's face. It also has some of the best choreography I've seen, and some of the best written down jujitsu I've seen in any manhwa or manga I've read so far. And let me just say, some of these hits are straight up brutal. At some point in this fight, the main character grabs a human skull, that's right, a human skull, and hits this monster over the head with it, which seems to do absolutely nothing. Including the flying armbar he does, it does nothing to this monster. Which finally leaves our main baddie to make the ultimate decision to straight up turn this guy's head clockwise all the way around and just puts an end to that monster. This leaves a lasting effect on the series because up until now we've seen violence, but we haven't seen anybody die completely besides for the mom, which we didn't really see on camera, but yeah, you get the meaning. So after this long fight in the tunnel, we get to see a shift in the storytelling and overall story of this manhwa. It changes from him wanting to go save his sister and have this big fight with his dad where he comes out on top to a manic episode where he's just rampaging on for the rest of the chapters of season 1. We also get to see a shift in the overall violence of this manhwa. It turns from a simple fighting manhwa where we'll see some blood, some brutalization of a fight, to a dark, grim version of a fighting manhwa where you get to see a lot more brutal stuff happen and a lot more people get hurt that just, sometimes generally don't understand it. At some point in this manhwa, he does attack a kid just for the kid speaking out of turn, It takes a dark turn. And believe me, it gets even deeper, Our favorite baddie gets put into a coma and, your boy was not having it. He was definitely going through some emotions and, did try to choke her at some point. It got pretty weird up in this manhwa for a second, But, our baddie's good and safe, Don't worry about her. Even though the story takes a deep shift in its storytelling and stuff like that, we do get to see more world building where we get to see what's going on outside of the high school, which I love about manhwas when they do that. I want to see what's going on outside of this closed story. We get to see gang violence, people getting murdered, and a lot of other messed up shit that I probably can't talk about on this channel. But what we do get to talk about is the other fight that is in contention with the fight in the tunnel. It is a very dark fight that takes place in an arena where he is fighting an absolute monster of a fighter. I mean, later on in the fight, I'm going to show you a picture of this. He's literally fighting a Baki character that looks like she could play She-Hulk. I'm being for real. But our boy does pull up. Definitely tweaking. I'll be for real. He is tweaking in some weird costume that he has going on. I mess with the costume, but, it is a little weird for this type of manhwa to show something like that, But what this fight does do well is it shows off the progression of the main character's skill and his insanity throughout this fight. He does not fight normally at all. But the choreography in this fight is absolutely amazing. And remember that point I made before about feeling the impact of the punches? Oh, we get to feel them all right. These punches feel more impactful than they did in the fight in the tunnel. These look like they cause damage. But as you know, our boy does put up a good fight and does end up getting beaten, but does at the very end have a transformation of sort where we get to see what he really is like when he locks the hell in. And I mean, our boy has hands. He beats the shit out of this lady. And at one point he tears his cheek open, which is the creepiest shit ever. But I think this is his final moment of where he just loses his sanity and just becomes a monster himself, like the monster he fought in the cave before. But then our boy gets beaten again, and, is what it is. But the best part of this whole entire thing, our baddie shows back up after being in a coma and absolutely saves his ass. She does have to put him out with a rear naked choke, but it doesn't matter. I wish I was there. That guy's complaining for nothing. I could have been in the rear naked choke. But in all seriousness, we do get to see the main character's growth in his fighting skill and his mental decline in this last 20 to 30 chapters of this manhwa, which I think does set it apart from other manhwa when we get to see this much level character development and overall world building features to a manhwa in general. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Our goal is 1,000 subscribers by December, so if you can help a boy out, help me out. And if you have any recommendations for manhwa, manga, leave them down in the comments. I'd love to check them out. Or if you have critiques, leave them there too. If you made it to the end, hit me with an ooga booga down in the comments.